Good day and welcome to Boone in the Woods and in the Home, your weekly escape into the realms of hunting, home decor, and heart-led living. Here, we're all about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of transforming the ordinary into extraordinary through upcycling, and the journey of integrating our faith into every aspect of our lives.
I'm Nathaniel, alongside with my wife, Lisa. Together, we are the owners and operators of Boone in the Woods, a hunting farm property management venture nestled in the heart of Western Kentucky. We're passionate about nurturing the land through custom crafted food plots and mineral mixes designed not just to attract, but to sustain the wildlife that roams our clients' properties. Dive deeper into our world at boonepodcast.com.
But that's just one side of the coin. With Leesa Boone Designs, we focus our creativity into giving new life to thrifted finds and cherished items in your home. Through quality artisan products and hands-on tutorials, we empower you to create a space that not only is beautiful, but tells a story, your story. Follow our journey and pick up some tips along the way by connecting with us through the links on our website, boonepodcast.com.
So whether you're here for the tales of the hunt, eager to learn about turning the old into something new, or seeking inspiration to weave faith more deeply into your business and personal life, you're in the right place. Let's embark in this adventure together, aligning our passions with our purpose and our pursuits with our beliefs.
Welcome to Boone in the Woods and in the Home. Hi, welcome to another week of Boone in the Woods and in the Home. This episode is just a little bit different. I'm going to be interviewing one of my friends. She's an amazing creative. Her name is Liz, and her business is Liza Designs. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, your business, just a quick introduction, and then we're going to ask you a few questions, and we'll just go through all of the things.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Lisa. As you said, my name is Liz, and my business name is Liza Jane Designs. I am here in Afton, Minnesota, which is in far eastern Minnesota. It's actually on the Wisconsin border. So we're a river town. We sit on the beautiful scenic St. Croix Riverway. It's a national. Legit is a national treasure, and there's national park visitor stations, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful community and a great place to live. And I am so privileged to have a studio and retail space here in this charming town of Afton.
Yeah. Now, I actually got to meet you a couple of weeks ago. You drove through, and it was so awesome to meet you and your husband. And I didn't realize how small of a town Afton is.
Yes, it's little. Probably less than 2,000 people.
Yeah.
But it is so centrally located. We're only about 20 miles from St. Paul, and which is adjacent to Minneapolis. So there's millions of people there.
Yeah.
But our customer base and client base, there's huge suburbs. Mm-hmm. And, I came to your town. You live in an actual town. In my area, there are a lot more suburbs than there are towns. And people long for the community feel that you get, I think, in a little town. So people are just drawn to the town that I live in, and I'm drawn to it. My husband and I moved here from a suburb about 8 years ago, I think. And it's like 10 miles and another world. It's so different. And our little town of less than 2,000 people in July will host up to 10,000 for our annual 4th of July parade. And the whole thing takes about an hour. And then we have espresso and coffee and ice cream to look forward to.
Wow. See, I think that's a true testament to build it and they will come. Like if something is authentic, if something is real, if it's fun, if it includes everyone and, it's interesting and different, people will come. And so you have a small creative studio like we talked about. But first, I want to ask you this question. You have a lifetime of creativity behind your belt, right? Can you share what sparked your passion for upcycling and renovating furniture and how you got started in all of this, our world right now? How did you get started?
Well, it's a true case of what usually happens, one thing leading to another thing. I didn't set out to be a furniture upcycler per se. I have always been a creative person. My sister taught me to knit when I was 5 years old. I learned how to sew when I was just a kid, and I used to make life-size dolls for my niece who wasn't all that much younger than me. I would make her dolls that wore size 5 clothing, and I'd make clothes for them. And as a creative yourself, Leesa, I think you'll understand, and anyone who's listening who is a creative, we don't really do it because we want to. We do it because we need to. We have to. And it would be like a duck being told it couldn't go in the water, Initially, my interests or my experiences were more related to textiles and fiber art. And it was like that for a long time. I did quilting and art quilting and knitting and crocheting and cross stitching and crewel. And I would design my own crewel projects, even weaving and all of that. That's where macrame. Mm-hmm. But from there, one thing leads to another, and have an endless curiosity about various art supplies and art techniques. In fact, our Liza Jane Designs is my brand and my business here. But I also am co-owner of the Afton Creative Art Studio for the creatively curious. And I would say that nails who I am and who I want to serve is people who just are creative about or are curious about any kind of creativity. And for me, the creative arts can include just about anything at all. It's, it's sewing, it's painting, it's knitting, it's quilting, it's cooking. Yeah. My son-in-law may come this summer and do a class on smoking meats. And, it's great. It was about 10 years ago that my oldest daughter had 2 small children, and I had just left my job. We formed an LLC. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do, but we knew how to make stuff. Mm-hmm. We started out, our first product was cotton headbands that you would tie on the back, and they had a little flower that was sort of a boho. You maybe remember those from 10-ish years ago. They were super cute. Yeah. As happens when you get into anything, you meet other people and they do different things, and one thing leads to another. My daughter developed an interest in candle making. So she began her process of learning and making really awesome soy candles. Mm-hmm. I was very proud of the research that she did and the pride that she took in having really quality products. Just as you do, we had our very own room so we could set it up and style it the way we chose. We worked certain hours. We did commission sales, and it was fun. And we did that for about a year. Unfortunately, after about a year, the woman who owned the shop decided she had had enough of retail by training, and her real passion was in interior design. So she closed that down. How I got into the furniture parts. It's like I was there, that's what they were doing. It's like, this is really cool. So our name then was Dill and Izzy. That was the name of our company.
Okay.
Dill and Izzy, named after my parents, Stacy's grandparents. I always wanted to create. And
did you want to teach?
I always wanted to teach. Yes. I've always wanted to be a teacher, and I really think that's among my true callings. I have the need to create for my own satisfaction and soul.
Yeah.
But teaching is at least as important to me. And when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to be. I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
A lot of times you think teacher, you think institution, you have to be in a school and it's kids, but that's not the case. And I love that. I feel the same way. But I always did want to have my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And but at some point there was a little thing in me where I wanted to be a teacher, but then I thought, I never knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a little bit of everything, but I never could pinpoint it. And as I grew up, I found myself starting a lot of things. I was interested in a lot of things, and not all of them were creative. I'm actually really good with spreadsheets and things like that. But I try not to tap into all of that now. I've lost touch with it. I mean, I used to pride myself in knowing, what was it? Microsoft products very well, backwards and forwards, Word, Excel, all of the things, Outlook. And I thought, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. But I always liked the cross stitching, and I thought I wanted to be creative, but I didn't think that I really was creative. And but now, I love seeing people's light bulbs go off, like when you teach something, and especially when there's more than one person and they kind of bounce off of one another, and the joy and there's something special about creating whatever it is. And I really think there's even something healing in cutting paper and gluing it. I don't know what it is. I say it all the time, but there is something that just calms you when you're collaging and decoupaging and ATCs. There's just something special about it. What do you think is your most favorite creative outlet?
Boy, my most favorite. It is very hard to answer that.
What are you passionate about right now?
Kind of bookmaking and journaling and those sorts of things. You do, right? And it's because of the healing of the cutting and the variety of everything that you can do.
And there's no right or wrong way.
There's no right or wrong way. It's a way to experiment with different techniques and learn things in a non-threatening manner.
Yes.
For you, you're doing this for you. Just so many gifts that come to us from journaling, whether it's, writing just the written word or taking the time to sit down with ourselves. Using our hands helps that knowledge in our head actually soak into us in our hearts and spirit and our gut, which is really more important most of the time than what's in our head.
I'm really intrigued about this time, this season. Let me back up. In the podcast, Nathaniel and I, in February, we talked about love and faith in your business. In March, we're talking about spring into action, resetting, rejuvenating, and renewal. How we can implement those themes into our life, into our personal life, our spiritual life, our business life. And then in April, we're going to be talking about falsehood. But I've been noticing that there's a lot of people pivoting their business model, pivoting their the way that they do business in so many different ways, and even pivoting personally. So that's a difficult thing to decide that you're going to pivot. And I know that you had your business. I mean, you had your business with your daughter, and then you went and you pivoted and you had your own business, and she had her own thing, and then you started the Afton crafting. But you also have an Airbnb.
Yes.
And so, like, tell me about that. Can you share a challenge that you faced during this transition, and how you've navigated through it, and how you came to those decisions? Like, this is the time to jump, to try, to pivot, to transition. Talk about that a little bit.
My daughter, we were Dill and Izzy, we were working together, but then our paths diverged where she was more into personal care and candles and those kinds of things. And that's what the brand Dill and Izzy came to mean. And it was like, well, we can't be Dill and Izzy. We do candles and soap and furniture. And, it was too much. We needed to. So that was the first pivot, was to say, I got to rebrand what I do, this mishmash of all the other things that I do. And Liza Jane Designs came around because my name is Elizabeth Jane, and I am a child of Dill and Izzy. So they're my parents. So it's kind of like, oh, Liza Jane Designs. It's spinning off of Dill and Izzy. And at that time, I was still a part of a bigger store. I had moved from Hello the House, it closed. And for about 6 years, I was part of a store that started here in Afton as like an 800 square foot tiny business called Eye Candy Refined. And it was like, to find again, RE dash find, which was started by a really amazing young woman. She was in her 30s when she started this, and she worked so hard and did so many amazing things. We were together for about 6 years, and we moved from Afton to a bigger location. She went from 800 square feet to 2,000 square feet to 4,000 to 8,000. She had this huge,
Wow.
And it was amazing. It was a beautiful, beautiful store. It was a destination shop for people. And I was part of that, and I was thrilled. I loved working there. It was kind of high-end repurposed furniture. It was really, really well done. And she commanded better prices than a lot of places, and people were like happy to pay them because she just had that kind of reputation and that kind of.
Yeah. It was an experience.
Yes. And the store that she created and the people she brought in, she did as well as anthropology, I swear, at staging and marketing, and she was always switching it up. We'd have a different display in there and at night when we went home than when we came in the morning, because it was constant, and it was amazing. And I learned a lot from her. And I didn't want to own my own business. I knew how hard that it was and that it is. And many people, I'm afraid, who are vendors or who are employees, they don't seem to have a grasp of everything that goes into our overall business. The pressures, the expenses, the need to be there for our vendors and creatives when they need us. And it's a lot.
Big responsibility.
It was, when I was there, that I started teaching classes. I had a place within the store to do. Mostly I was teaching iron orchid designs classes and, furniture upcycling, home decor, transfers on windows, and mixed media on wood. And it was awesome. That's when I realized I need my own shingle. I need to make my own way and have some more to say about when I'll teach classes, what products we're going to sell, what hours we're going to be open, all of that. So that was 2021. So 3 years ago is when Liza Jane Designs became a shop front. The Airbnb property, it's a historic schoolhouse. It was built in 1857 or something like that. It's sandstone brick, and it's just a charming, old, small, it's a 2-bedroom house now. So we bought that and have made it into an Airbnb and converted the carriage house or garage. Because when it was built, people didn't have garages, right? They had carriages and horses. So that's what I think this was. And that is our shop. And that's where I do classes. It's really fun and exciting and sometimes overwhelming and frightening. But
And
one day at a time.
One day at a time. I mean, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a grandmother, and you're a great grandmother.
Yes. And I just learned I'm about to have my third great granddaughter.
Now, how awesome and how inspiring is that you're just on the brink of this new adventure and there's room for so much more, and who knows what's going to happen through this and how many lives you're going to affect and inspire. Like, that is just so incredible to me. And your husband is a joy. And I had posted, like, I got to meet you guys, and I had said that what I called him, what did I call him? I said something.
Dashing gentleman or something. Dashing gentleman.
And somebody was like, dashing. And you're like, yeah, she knows a good one when she sees one. But honestly, how could we do what we do without our husbands, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how much does he help you in your business?
He helps quite a lot. It is important to me to not take that for granted or I try to do what I can do without asking for too much help.
Mm-hmm.
What the help I really, really need from him is the emotional support and encouragement. I mean, he helps with other stuff, but my husband loves to play golf. And he's a very social sort of guy. And I don't want his helping me with my business to ever interfere with the things that make him happy as a human, right? Mm-hmm. So he helps me a lot. And if I had to say, what do I think is the most important thing he helps me with? It's encouraging me when I feel like, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. Lisa, we do the things we do. We pour our heart into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like crickets.
Yeah.
Nothing. So you just dust yourself off and get back. And my husband, and that's what I value all of his help, but I especially value that he will encourage me and say, you're doing great. And I think that's how you do stay healthy and vibrant and vital, is thinking about what do you want to do and how can you do it and how can you be of service to others.
Yes. All right. This is the last question before we close. So we kind of touched on a lot of things here,
Mhm.
but we are in a digital age where connection is virtual most of the time. We talked about the
Mhm.
pivoting in 2020 and everything became virtual. But you have like that hands-on approach, and you like to have that hands-on creativity. How do you see this need for tangible connection shaping the future of your creative workshops and education?
Funny you should ask. I One of the things that I did to get my mind in the right place for talking with you is I looked at things I had written on my website, and I'm going to read it because it's under About Us on my website, and it says, in a digital age, we need connection and hands-on creative play more than ever. Join me online and in my shop space where we can spend time creating beauty with our very own hands and rescuing old furniture and relics from the scrap heap. Let's breathe new life into old things and have creative fun along the way. So we're at the end of our talk here today, and I don't recall if I've shared this with you in the past or not, but I am a person in long-term recovery. I'm a recovering alcoholic and working in the field of addiction and recovery and such is very, very important to me as well. I, for many years, attended a church in St. Paul that was called the Recovery Church. That was a Christian-based, a Methodist church that whose focus was really serving those of us with addiction issues, whether it be drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex, codependence, whatever it was. That was kind of a mission. And I taught Sunday school there for about 10 or 11 years. Where was I going with that? It's like, I read an article about a year ago that said the opposite of addiction is connection.
Mm.
And that really moved me. And right now it still gives me kind of goosebumps that I believe that to be true. And the difference between a person like me who, you use, it's my view, people use drugs and alcohol to feel a connection. Unfortunately, it's not a real connection. It's false. It's a lie. But
Wow.
that's what we're looking for. And if what we do can put people on a path of real connection to their own creativity, to their own, heart and soul. I mean, I think that's the long-term answer to addiction recovery. It isn't to have a war on drugs, because the drugs are almost beside the point. It's the need for the drug. And the need comes from a lack of connection and feeling fulfilled.
Yeah, it's brokenness.
It's brokenness.
And we're looking to be loved, looking for love. Like, that's a connection. And so that's what it is. And we're all broken in some way.
Yes.
We live in a fallen world. And so that's why we need to be saved, to have the love of the Father, to be in right standing with Him. And that's what we're longing for, because He's placed an innate thing inside of us. And because we are so broken, we get confused. And so we're looking for a material thing to fill that void.
Right.
It's only what He can do. And we were made in His image. We can't create something from nothing, but we have the DNA of creativity that's inside of us. And it brings healing because that's who we are.
Right.
So when you find out who you are and what you're supposed to do, like, you are an awesome artist. You are so inspiring. Like, you are who you are because of what you've been through, but because of what he's made you to do. And so you are an awesome teacher. I've watched you for years before I actually got to talk to you, virtually, and then we got to hug in person.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yes. And so I am so honored that you are my friend.
Well, I feel the same, Lisa. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad that you said yes, because I didn't know that story, and every one of us has a story to tell.
Right.
And I'm so glad that you shared that with me. And I know it's going to help someone and inspire someone, because you said a lot of good little nuggets throughout this time together. And I know something is going to help someone.
Well, I sure hope so, because that really is what it's about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not about us. It's about him and how he can use us to bless other people. And
it's about that light and that spark and sharing it. And yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all about being mutually beneficial, having relationships that are mutually beneficial. I was just talking about that. We talk about that a lot on the podcast. I think it's important, and we help each other out. We support one another and we build one another up. And so I just want to thank you for taking the time to join me and share your story.
It was a lot of fun to talk with you, Lisa. I loved chatting with you. I loved meeting with you last month. I guess it was already a month ago. Yeah. So, and I love your little town. You have an awesome little town here in Kentucky as well. So I hope you can make it to Afton one day. If you're coming for the parade on the 4th of July, let me know and I'll put a blanket and a chair out for you.
The night before. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it so much.
Well, I was nervous because I just haven't done this before. And you are so gracious and kind. You make it easy. So thank you for that. And I'll be talking with you again very soon, I know.
So now we want to leave you with this. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
So we want to encourage you to seek him first, pray about everything, test the spirits, and examine yourself to make sure that you are in the faith. Are you in the faith? If you're not sure what that means, or if you don't know what it means to be saved, then listen up. Does that mean that you will never sin again? No. We are all sinners, but he is quick to forgive, and he teaches us all things. He leads us along the narrow path into righteousness, and that just means that in right standing with him.
Thank you for joining us. We pray that this episode was a blessing to you, and we look forward to hearing from you. You can contact us on boonepodcast.com. If you asked him to be saved, or if you have a prayer or prayer request, we would love to hear from you. And you can contact us again. The website is boonepodcast.com.
Be sure to tune in every Monday for a weekly program, Boone in the Woods and in the Home, with Nathaniel and Leesa Boone. Please follow our social media pages so that you can be reminded to tune in and also stay connected to us and our businesses.
We hope that you have an incredibly blessed day.
Good day.
Ciao.